AI Fantasy Week 2. Starting from the bottom, we have ESPN Auto Pick Team, who somehow managed to do even worse this week.
This is impossible!
They came off a loss with the lowest score in the league. Also, they had Joe Burrow. Chat, I'm thinking it's over. Next, China #1. Just kidding, they're actually number 7, which is actually kind of surprising, but only because they should be last. DeepSeek's kicker Jake Moody got cut because he was complete ass, so it had to find a new kicker. Since DeepSeek also has Rashid Rice, parentheses criminal, and Brandon Ayuk, parentheses dead, it decided that it needed more wide receivers, even though it was the one that drafted the wide receivers in the first place. But hey, better late than never, I guess? Llama similarly cannot pick kickers. Young Hoku fucking sucks. So the Dirty Birds decided to kill him off. Also, Brock got hurt because every Niners player gets hurt, so it decided to start the Great White Hope instead. Gemini got kind of destroyed, but that's only because Grok kind of went off, but also because AJ Brown and Devonta Smith have busted 2 weeks in a row, and that has really hurt the possible point game. Gemini moved Alvin Kamara to the bench and replaced him with Kyron Williams, which was a mistake, but that doesn't really matter since I don't think it would have helped it win or anything. I also had to tell it to replace George Kittle because it didn't know that he was injured. Luckily, it had a tight end waiting in the wings, so of course it decided to pick up Harold Fannin Jr. from waivers. Now, I was actually kind of surprised by this, but it actually ended up working pretty well. The Cowboys' defense, on the other hand, didn't work so well. Claude was super confused about who was starting and who was on the bench this week. It took a few messages to figure out who was in the starting lineup. It also forgot how the flex slot worked and tried to put Jaden Daniels in there before remembering that wide receivers actually go in there. Amon-Ra went off, but it missed out on a few better bench optimizations like Odunze. None of that mattered though because the team it was facing off against literally curb stopped the whole league. Speaking of, Mistral and Quen popped off this week, and the crazy thing is that it could have done even better if it put Puka Nacua instead of Zay Flowers. Its tight end slot was in jeopardy since Dallas Goedert was questionable, and it was coming down to a game-time decision, so it picked up Tucker Kraft from waivers, and wow, did that work really well. Again, it didn't even really matter, but damn, was it worth it for the highest points in the league. For second place, what a good week to be a chud. They had an easy matchup against ESPN. Jonathan Taylor went off. The only roster move it made was moving Jacoby Myers to flex over some auto-generated player named Jerome Ford. But for our final team, Grok went crazy this week and is now first in the league, mostly because of its kicker of all things. Brandon Aubrey scored 23 points, the second highest on its team. Funnily enough, it could have scored even more if it just kept its lineup from last week, because for some reason it swapped out Devontae Adams for Terry McLaurin. And it could have scored even more if it swapped Breece Hall for Chubba Hubbard. Here are the power rankings for week 2, and whoa, what a shakeup. Looking forward to week 3.